Hi, this is Holly Fields from MacGyver, Wishmaster 2, and Star Wars The Old Republic, and you're listening to Mac Jackson on the MacGyver Podcast.
Hi, I'm Richard Dean Anderson.
Name's MacGyver.
Colonel Jack O'Neill, SG-1.
My name is Pratt, Ernest Pratt.
I always get a happy, tingly feeling when I see those guys.
Name one contract that I failed to execute.
MacGyver.
Oh, here we go.
You're a target. And I don't intend to miss.
Over my rotting corpse. I'm sorry, did I say that out loud? Glowing eyes, cliché behavior, evilness, that kind of thing.
Is mental illness contagious?
You think?
You can do anything you want to do if you put your mind. Well, you do have a penchant for pulling brilliant ideas out of your butt. Head. Out of your head when we need them. Oh, the stuff's already here. I just find a different way to use it.
I like your attitude.
Permission to take a team through the Stargate, sir.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to the MacGyver Podcast. I'm your host, Mac Jackson. And I don't know, for anybody who's listened for a while, you may have heard me mention Holly Fields. And Holly Fields is someone who I have been friends with through social media for many years. And now finally, I get to have her on. And you will know her from the MacGyver episode Runners as Crystal, a.k.a. Jennifer. So here she is.
Hi, how are ya?
So, yeah, it's nice to finally be able to do this because it's so funny. I love the fact, I'll always cherish the fact that I don't know where I was probably at home one day, and I get a text from you saying, I'm in Australia and you're not going to believe who's sitting next to me.
I don't even remember that.
Oh, yeah, I think that was on a Friday or a Saturday, and yeah, you're like, Rick is sitting right next to me because I guess you were at the table together.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
probably.
And then you guys got to go pet koala bears.
Yes, that was so fun. Oh, we had the best time. Yeah, we were there. It was an autograph show in Sydney and, well, actually Brisbane and all over Australia. And yeah, it was amazing. We got to go to the Steve Irwin Zoo and pet the koalas, like see all the behind the scenes, the kangaroos. It was incredible. Yeah. Incredible.
I love that because then every so once in a while you would send me a picture. I'd be like, oh, I'm so jealous. One, to be at any convention, and hang out, but also I've never gotten to pet a koala.
Oh, and I got to hold the koala. It was a dream come true.
And they're always nice, right? I've never heard a report of a koala going crazy on somebody.
No, me neither. No, they were really sweet. One fell asleep in my arms.
Aww.
Well, sedated or something, but it was really sweet. I loved it. I didn't want to leave. I wanted to take it with me.
Honest to God.
Yeah.
So let me think. Where do we begin? I mean, we don't have to go through the whole typical question thing because I'm sure everybody already knows a lot of your story, but I'm going to ask one cliche question. And what age did you make the decision to act?
God, my brother was doing a play with Molly Ringwald in Sacramento, and I was about 4 years old or 5, and I would sit in the audience and just my mom couldn't get me to leave. I was all over, and I loved everything. I loved the songs. I was singing all the Oliver songs and Artful Dodger songs, and Molly's dad, Bob, he's deaf. He's blind, and he brilliant musician, and he could hear me sing one day. He heard me sing and said to my mom, "You should get her into singing lessons. She can sing." So I started taking from Dan Truitt, who played Rolf in The Sound of Music. Mm-hmm. And then later we had the auditions for Through the Looking Glass, and I was, I think 6 at the time or something, maybe 5. And they wouldn't let me audition because I was too young. I guess the cutoff was age 9 or something, or age 8. So everyone's like, oh, come on, let her audition. So they let me audition, and I just got up in front of everyone and sang. My parents were like, you weren't even afraid. And they let me be the understudy for Molly Ringwald. And so I got to go on the final night and be the dormouse. And I knew from then on that was it. I knew. I also come from a family of actors and producers and directors. So I think it's kind of like in the blood maybe, but
sure.
I'm learning about DNA, and I think it might be. I think Judy Garland's in my family, and Frank Sinatra, and my great uncle was Howard Hawks. He directed Gentlemen Prefer Blondes, His Girl Friday, Scarface, To Have or Have Not. So
you found out Frank Sinatra was in your family?
Yes.
Wow.
Like an uncle's sister's brother's sister's nephew. I mean, it's like far, far away, but that
still,
was so cool.
Yeah, I would definitely claim that.
Yeah, I'm just gonna put that on my resume. Yeah. All right. So anyway, I was in so my family ended up moving to Texas because my dad got moved. He was working for Lee Jeans, and Molly's dad wanted me to do Annie with Molly in LA, and we were out in Sacramento. My parents didn't tell me this till years later, but they said no, and we ended up going to Texas, and my mom allowed me to get an agent, so I did commercials. Like I had done like hundreds of commercials back there, like for every product you can imagine. And then I did a movie called The Dirt Bike Kid with Peter Billingsley and Roger Corman's wife, Julie Corman. I think I was 12. And then when I was 13, the other little kid in the movie was coming to LA for pilot season, and so I begged my mom to let me go. So I went to LA. I went to LA with his mom and the boy, and I got lucky. I got a pilot the first week. I got an agent the second day, a manager the second day, an agent the next day, and then auditioned for a CBS pilot called Fort Figueroa with Charlie Haid from Hill Street Blues, and then Luis Valdez, who directed La Bamba, was the director of it, and we did the pilot, and it was great. And I was, here I was, this kid from Texas, starring on a CBS series as a regular. The first week, it was crazy. And then I got the movie Communion with Christopher Guest, a small part in that though. And then I got, Christopher Walken. And then I got The Big Picture with Christopher Guest. Like it was like bam, bam, bam. And then I met with John Hughes. And so they all told my parents, let her try it. So my parents let me stay. I got really lucky.
Wow. Yeah, it's funny. The beginning of your story is very parallel to my own because I've always been a singer. And people are telling, have him take lessons. And my mother was like, why? He can already sing. Why would I waste, the money on that?
Yeah.
And then around that same age, I originally considered getting into acting, and I remember going to an audition, and I kind of sat back and watched it, and the director kind of, at the time I thought, ooh, she seems kind of mean, and I was just a kid. I was like, I don't know, 6 to 8, and they said, what do you think? And I said, I think I'll come back another time. This doesn't feel right. And just because the director was so intimidating. Well, then later on, as a teenager, I don't know, 12 maybe, I went on my own audition. I saw that they were having auditions for a musical, and I thought, you know what, I'm riding my bike around. I think I know where that is. So my mother always laughs because she goes, oh, yeah, you came home so nonchalant and said you got the lead. I just thought, you probably have that same feeling. You just figure, heck with it. I'm either going to get it and be able to tell people, or I'm not, and I'll forget about it.
I think a lot of it also as a kid, I didn't think about not getting it. I just thought, I was a weird kid. I was so determined, and it was, also I came to LA, and if I didn't do well, I would have to go home. Back to Texas, and I didn't want that. I wanted to act. So I worked extra hard. I think so here I was new, also going up against these kids that had been here forever, and so they just thought, I think a lot of them didn't care. It was more their mothers wanting them to do it. So I would work my butt off on the auditions, and I got lucky, and I got this. The first show I got was a show called Equal Justice.
Mm-hmm.
Or,
I think I remember that, actually.
No, that was later. Sorry, Hard Copy with Dean Devlin. It was a show, not the Hard Copy we know, but it was a really cool TV series about, I think it was about lawyers, kind of like Equal Justice, but with Dean Devlin and Karen. There were a lot of really actually big stars in it. I just can't remember right now, but so it was a great show. And so I got that. That was the first show. I played a murderer. I was, I think, 12. And yeah, that was my first job. And then for TV, actually, I think it was the first TV job. I had done, the Dirt Bike Kid and then some other stuff. But then the first big TV show I got, besides the CBS, show that ended up not going, was MacGyver.
Right. I remember you saying that, too, that was your first big deal TV thing.
Yeah. Yeah, that was, I had done other things, but they, so I had practice, I guess, being on TV. I knew what it was about, but I had never had that kind of, I guess, not stress, but excitement.
Sure.
So, you have to do well. You know that it's going to be on TV. It's going to be, the other stuff you never know if it's going to air anywhere, but that I knew it was going to air, and that was exciting. So I got to fly to Vancouver, and that was probably my favorite job I've ever done.
Yeah? Well, how old were you at the time?
I think I was 13.
Were you?
I think around 13. Yeah, I was young. I was really young because I ended up getting emancipated the next year when I was 14. Yeah, so I had to have been 13 or 14.
Wow.
And yeah, I was super young.
It's funny, too, because I don't remember what age you were supposed to be playing on the show, but you were a teenager.
Yeah.
And it's a heavy episode.
Yeah, and I like heavy.
Oh, yeah.
I prefer those, hooker type roles and the pregnant teenagers. That's what I wanted to do back then.
It's got the most meat.
Yeah, and I was the good girl cheerleader from Texas, from Sacramento, but from Texas, and I didn't want to. It's more fun to play the parts that you're not.
Right.
So, to me, that was like a dream role.
Do you remember the audition?
I do. Yeah, it was. Sorry.
No, you're good.
Let it finish. I'm charging my car.
Oh.
Right. Yeah, I do. Jenny Garth was there. It was down between me and Jenny Garth in the end, actually, and I think one other. I'm not sure, but yeah, I went back a few times, and Victoria Burrows was the caster, who I love, and I got it. I was so excited when I got it.
Yeah.
And that was Henry Winkler and Michael Greenberg.
Wow. So that's who you read in front of?
What?
Is that who you auditioned in front of?
It's hard to remember, but yeah, I think Michael was there.
Yeah, I would think.
There were a few people there. I just, I was a kid, so I just.
Yeah, you're just trying to concentrate on your lines and,
not fall down and trip on my feet. That was, yeah, and I didn't even know how cool it was. I think at the time.
Yeah.
And now I know. I look back now and I'm like, oh my God. So yeah. So I flew out to Vancouver and put up this beautiful hotel. So you're 13 years old, 13, 14. You're a teenager. I was a teenager for sure, and I didn't. That was pretty exciting.
How long does it take to film? Like a week?
No, I think it was 2 weeks. And also, we had Sean Penn was there and Robert De Niro. They were filming We're No Angels at the same time, so they were hanging out on the set and coming over and saying hi. So it was really exciting.
Yeah, I would think so.
And it was my first, I had done good roles before, but never like on Fort Figueroa, I was one of the stars of the show, but I didn't have all the lines like I did on MacGyver. That was the first time show where I had that lines, and that I just loved it. I loved it. I loved Vancouver. The crew was incredible. The cast was incredible. Mm-hmm. it was kind of maybe a bad way to start my career because I thought everything was going to be as cool. You know, you think all the crews are going to be this amazing and all the producers are going to be this great and the cast this cool, but you know, you'll come across that a lot, but sometimes you don't. So it was
oh yeah. I was just saying to somebody that is the cast and crew that Rick has worked with have been exceptional because everybody's on the same page. It's not about ego, it's about the end product.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah. It was, and oh God, it was so fun to work on that. And Richard was just amazing. Just fantastic to work with.
Isn't he? I mean, he's so sweet like all the time.
I know. And they took me to see movies on the off days, and it was great. Richard and Michael.
Get out of here.
Yeah, and my mom was there because I was a kid, so my mom obviously had to come too. So my mom brought my aunt, so they would go off, and then I would go with Richard and Michael to go see movies. We went. I remember there was an ice skating rink. We saw Cousins. I remember that. But yeah.
With Ted Danson, is that the one I'm thinking of?
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Oh man, that is so cool.
It was exciting. You know, here I was in Canada, and you know, traveling. I think for the first time ever as a kid, and you know,
oh, sure,
with this amazing cast and crew, and yeah.
And you know what's amazing too, that episode in particular is very personal. It's very revealing about MacGyver because you never knew up until that point what happened to his mother.
Right.
And that whole moment when you guys are sitting there in the boathouse, you know, and he's making banana wheat pancakes or whatever. Yeah. And and you come down in the jersey.
I had to eat a lot of
huh?
I had to eat those, by the way. I've seen after scene. I was supposed, in the script it said she's supposed to be like just chowing down, like literally inhaling them. Mm-hmm. But I was, you know, I wanted to be cooler than that, so but they kept saying eat them faster, so I ate a lot of banana pancakes.
Were they actually banana pancakes too?
Yeah, and they were really good. Yeah.
Because you know, every time I see them, I you know, because I've watched it a trillion times, I'm thinking, I wonder if those were good. I would hope so.
They were great. Yes, I love pancakes. I had no problem eating those. And then the scene before that, I had to do the same thing with the French fries. Mm-hmm. So, yeah,
that's and it's funny too. And I'll compliment you on this. You do pull off the sincerity of eating pancakes because you are trying to be in the moment, but you could tell that she's hungry.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome. You know, like I could see what they wanted.
Yeah.
You know, but you're listening and you're still, as you're talking, you're eating, and it doesn't look like you're overacting.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah. It's so funny because I remember some parts so clearly from back then, but other parts, it's like I don't even remember where we filmed because also they would pick me up in a car every morning and take me to the set. And that's another thing, like when you're a kid, here I was as a teenager in Canada being taken in a limo or whatever, you know, like a car, not a limo, I forgot some shows they pick you up in a limo, but I think we were in like a van, and every morning they would pick you up and you get your makeup done, and it was so exciting. I mean, it was exciting, and here you are getting to film a show that you love. And
were you a fan before you were on the show?
No, I was too young to watch it. My dad did. I would watch it, you know, and obviously it's a great show, and I liked it. But you know, I was still playing with Barbies this time, so
sure.
And I was a little kid. So I was watching the Mickey Mouse Club.
Yeah.
But that was, you know, it was a very exciting time back then.
It's funny, too, because with that episode, besides it being very revealing to his backstory, the character of Jennifer or Crystal or however, you know, at what moment you know the character, there's, like, she doesn't quit the hustle. You know, she's
Right.
constantly. I love how realistic that was because it wasn't, all right, I tried and now I'm going to be a sweet little girl. She's constantly trying to get money and, you know, make the pimp happy.
Yeah.
So that even when you think, okay, now she's done. Oh no, she's going to steal his wallet.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. And then, hell, yeah.
It's a heck of an episode. I'm telling you, it's one of the key, like, cornerstone episodes. If I were to tell somebody if they wanted to try it, that's one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and then
It won an award, so it, I think it won 1 or 2 awards from what I was told.
oh, did it really?
Yeah, it did.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Well, it should.
Yeah. Yeah, it's exciting that it. Yeah.
And the boys' club that they filmed at was actually a boys' club, correct?
It was.
Yeah.
And I remember filming the scene where, you know, the scene where we're in the at Snakeskin's place, the pimp's place, and we have
Sure.
to. Rick and I are in the Jeep, and we have to back up really fast.
Oh yeah, at night.
Yeah, that it was so funny to remember the people who lived in that would come down and complain, and they would hand them like money. They would give them money, and they would also. I think everyone in the building complained at one point just to get money because the word got out. But they would hand money out. People
Get out of here.
Say, oh, here's $100. Here's $200. That was funny.
That is fun, just to make them go away.
Just say sorry, you know. Here's money to make you happy. Yeah.
Wow. Well, see, it's so funny too because, as I recall, like a lot of places were the actual places. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't just, for example, the boys' club. That was, I think, a boys' club where Rick volunteered.
Oh wow, yeah. I didn't know that he volunteered, but it was an actual place. Yes.
Isn't that funny? Because I think what he would do is he would actually suggest certain places. You know, he ended up, I think, on the board for that particular neighborhood of Big Brothers Big Sisters.
That's so cool. And in the show, I'm wearing his actual shirt.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I thought that was so cool. He wanted me in his jersey at his place in the show. So that's his jersey.
I love that because I think I always heard, well, it was the same thing on Stargate. Anytime he didn't have to be in a particular uniform, if he got to dress casual, say on MacGyver or Stargate, he'd just show up on set and they'd use whatever he was wearing.
Really?
Well, yeah. Well, you know the brown bomber, the brown leather jacket.
Oh yeah.
That's his jacket. That's what he had before MacGyver. He auditioned in that jacket.
Wow. That's so cool.
Right?
I didn't know that.
Yeah. If you look at I don't know, I guess just publicity shots or paparazzi shots, a lot of times you'll see he's wearing it's just his natural clothes, but he would show up on set and they'd go, "You know what? Good enough. It might get dirty," and he'd be like, "Yeah, I don't care."
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
And I remember he would always bring his dog to set, and he'd be riding his bike around. And I remember also they were telling me about one time that he and Dana decided to not look at the script, and someone would feed them their lines, and that's how they would memorize it. And they did a whole episode that way.
Get out of here! I wish I knew what episode that was.
I don't know, but I don't know if it's true, but I think it's true.
Yeah. Well, he's famous for ad-libbing through Stargate. You know, because he's part. Oh God, yeah. He even said, somebody goes, "Would you ever consider writing?" And he goes, "No, because I wouldn't want to put anybody. I wouldn't want to go through what I've put our writers through, because basically you have to get from point A to point B. But if he thought something was funnier, he would just do that."
Oh God.
Yeah, Michael Shanks told me one time he would actually tell me particular scenes of an episode and say, "Watch out for this scene," because his reaction to what Rick was saying is comical, but it's sincere because it wasn't written that way. So you'll just see like the whole cast and crew look at him for, and then if they don't yell cut, they just keep going.
That's so funny. Well, he's a very intelligent man. So
Yeah.
you know that he's gonna show up and whatever he does is gonna work.
And he
Usually, I would think.
downplays all of that too. Like one of the things
Yeah.
I love about him is the humility.
Yeah.
He does. But you're right. He'll just make something up and then blow it off like that's no big deal.
Because it's probably no big deal to him.
Right.
So everyone else it might be like, oh wow, look what I just came up with. But him, it's like every day.
And that's the stuff. I've met great actors, but they may not be the best human beings.
Right.
But if you're a good human being, that I think is more important.
I think so too. The funny thing is, because I've worked with a lot of people. I've worked with Madonna, Michael J. Fox, Burt Reynolds, Suzanne Summers. I've worked with almost everyone in this town that I've wanted to work with. Jennifer Aniston. Everyone has been pretty awesome, actually.
Yeah.
I've never worked with someone. There's only 2 times where I had to work with 2 different actresses that were around the same age that weren't very nice to me, or other people either. But everyone else, even Madonna, was fantastic to work with. So
my logic is if you're lucky enough to have a career in show business, whether it's singing or acting or whatever, you're living the best life. That's why would you not be good to other people?
Yeah, and I think that's why the people that I've worked with have been so cool, because they are so happy, they're secure with themselves. But the ones that are on their way up that aren't secure in themselves or confident in themselves, maybe, those are the ones that I've worked with, on the low budget films. These directors that I've gone in to read for sometimes, they're jerks. But then you go in to read for someone like Steven Spielberg or, George Lucas, and they're the nicest people because they're secure and they're confident and they've made it. Maybe that's why, but or maybe that's the type of person that does make it, because those are the ones you want to work with. I'm still trying to figure it out, but I've been lucky in that way. But then I think also maybe it's not luck. Maybe it's just that's what you get when you're working with the best people.
Well, I had Rick Drew on last week, the writer.
Yeah.
And he's written a lot of MacGyver episodes. And he made a good point. He said that he thinks fame enhances who you are. So if you're lucky enough to be successful, if you're a bad person, everybody's going to eventually see it. But if you're a good person, it only, makes that more.
Interesting.
Right?
Yeah, I've thought about this a lot actually, because when I got sick, I since I've been acting since I was a kid, so I think when you grow up acting, people will be really nice to you because you're on shows and stuff. And I just thought everyone was just really nice. So when I got sick and I couldn't act for a few years, people that didn't, where I moved to this new area, they didn't know me, they weren't that nice. And then when they found out I was an actress, then they were totally nice. And that to me is frustrating. People should be nice from the beginning. They shouldn't care what you do for a living. That's
exactly.
That always bothers me, because when someone's a jerk and then they realize, oh, you've done this show or you're from this family, then they're nice.
Because it's phony and it's more it's greedy.
Yeah, exactly. And so when I got sick and noticed how people could be, that really opened my eyes, because I was talking with someone about this recently, and about how I think a lot of it's because I never got to see how people can be, because I started so young in this business. But wow, so that was eye-opening. But
sure, and it could be crushing too, because people who you think
extremely crushing. Because I come from a world where you used to be nice to people. I've always been nice to people. I love helping people out. I just want happiness for everybody, So
I'm with you.
So that was kind of heartbreaking when I found out that the world wasn't the way I thought. But the business I'm in, thankfully, I think the majority of the people that are successful are extremely great people.
Yeah, I agree.
And people want to work with them, and the word gets out. People will want to hire someone. They want to hire someone like Michael, for example. I'd called him, Michael Greenberg, years ago. I was doing Whole High, and I couldn't go back to do MacGyver for the final episode. He wrote, actually. So they ended up having to cast someone else in my character. And
Oh, I know which one you're talking about. MacGyver's Women.
yeah, and I was devastated.
That was during the 6th episode, yeah. Or sixth season.
Yeah, I was so devastated. I think I called Michael crying because I wanted to do it so badly. But Whole High, it was Kenny Ortega, Disney, NBC, Whole High. They just made me a regular, so I couldn't leave.
Oh.
Yeah, so I was so bummed, and so my point was that I had called Michael, I think a few months later. I don't even know how. When did they find out Stargate was sold? Well, anyway, I guess it had just come out.
97 was when it came out.
And when was MacGyver over?
Well, the 6th season was 90 to 91, and then the last season was 91 to 92, and then so there was that gap.
So I had called Michael Greenberg just to say hi because I love Michael Greenberg, and he said, "Oh, you must be calling because the show just got sold," and I didn't. I was still young and I didn't read the trades, and I said, "No, I'm just calling to say hi." He said, "No. Do you want to be on Stargate? We'll put you on Stargate, any role you want."
Oh.
And I was like, that's not why I'm calling. And that goes back to my point of being nice to people because you really are nice and you're not out to get something.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, I'm going to prove to you that I am a good person by not taking the part. I'm going to prove to you I'm not calling for any other reason. So I kept saying, no, I don't want to be on the show. I'm not going to be on the show. Because I was trying to prove to him I was a good person and I wasn't calling him to get a part. And I think he thought I didn't want to be on the show. So anyway, I ended up not doing the show, which was, I did go to Canada to film Sentinel, and I went over to see Richard and Michael, and they're like, let's put her on the show. And then I ended up not getting to do the show because I was working on other stuff at the time. But yeah, so
wow.
To this day, Michael probably thinks, oh, she didn't want to be on the show. He doesn't realize that I was just trying to prove a point that I was not calling him for any other reason than to say hi.
I'm sincerely a nice person.
I'm really a good person. I'm not trying to get a part from you. So anyway.
Well, what were you saying about MacGyver's Women that Rick wrote it?
He wrote the final episode, I was told by Michael, for me and him, and he put me on it.
The MacGyver's Women.
I don't know what it was called, but
well, that was the one. That was the one where your character is on, but they got Tracy Lords to do the part, and that was during the 6th season. And I see what you mean because it's a Western. It's a dream sequence.
Yeah.
And he loves Westerns, so
yes, he does. Yeah, and my great uncle directed all the Westerns, like Rio Bravo and all this,
Yeah, so he was trying to get you on that episode.
Yeah.
Oh, that's sweet.
Yeah, and so sweet. And I was so bummed I didn't get to do it, and I was literally devastated I didn't get to do it because I had so much fun the first time. So, and but I was loving the show I was on at the time. Kenny Ortega is amazing too, and that Whole High was fun, but not MacGyver fun. So
honestly,
yeah. So, yeah.
Did you get to talk to him about that when you were with him in Australia?
I don't think he and I ever talked about that. I never told him about what the phone call with Michael. I ended up dating Michael's nephew later, and I told him about it. I said, let Michael know that I told him, tell your uncle that it wasn't like I didn't want to be on the show. I mean, the show was great. I'm a big fan of Montauk Project. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm a big fan of all that. UFOs, time travel. I am, oh my God.
I'm with you.
I love that stuff so much. Like,
I'm a sucker for it.
Yeah, that's why I got the movie Communion. I was 12 years old, and I was probably the only 12-year-old that read a book that knew about UFOs. And I went in, and that's why I got the part. They're like, oh my God, give this kid the part. So anyway, so I loved the whole concept of Stargate, and yeah. But,
well, there may be a part in Stargate coming up, quite frankly, because they're doing another tweet storm on December 6th to kind of let MGM know that we want a new series that's in continuity.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
And the
That's
whole cast
cool.
said they're, Richard included said, yeah, we're dying to go back.
Oh, that's awesome.
So yeah, hopefully that'll be. It's funny too because obviously the audience wants it.
Yeah.
It went away prematurely, and the crew's all for it. It's just a matter of getting whoever is in charge of MGM to realize that.
Oh, yeah. Well, gosh, with all the shows they're bringing back, you would think it's
Exactly.
a no-brainer.
Exactly, especially if you can get the whole crew back.
Yeah, and the cast, my God, that would be awesome.
I'll keep you apprised if I hear anything before you do.
Please, yeah. I just found out they're making something else I did into a series, and I might get a B on it. And I can't say what it is because it's a big secret. But
Sure.
I'm like a fan of this project. Told me about it, and I was like, "How do you know?" And I don't know. So I called the producer. He's like, "Yeah, we weren't supposed to. No one's supposed to tell anybody." So that was pretty cool.
That is cool.
Yeah. So I'm like, I have a job coming up. Yay.
Well, how long after MacGyver did you do Quantum Leap? I don't think it was that much later.
No, it wasn't that much later. That was when I had just moved to LA, and it was like bam, bam, bam. I was booking so much stuff in a row, which was really exciting, and that was so much fun to film. I had never heard of Quantum Leap before because it was the third episode ever that they filmed.
Right.
So I'm reading the script, seeing his character's name was Sam, and then they're calling him Cam, and I thought it was a typo, and I'm like, who wrote this? You know, I mean, I didn't understand the whole time. I didn't know it was time travel or quantum leaping.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was cast by Melissa Scoff, who's one of my best friends now, and yeah, that was pretty awesome. I didn't know who Scott Bakula was, and working with him was another dream come true. God, that guy is also just heart of gold.
Yeah.
Couldn't ask for anyone better.
Yeah.
And just total gentleman. It was my first screen kiss ever, and I think I was 16, 15. I don't know. I was young. I wasn't driving yet, so I must have been 15.
And you were saying Dean Stockwell was off to the side teasing you?
Yes! Oh my God! Yeah, Dean Stockwell. Oh man, he would sit in this little chair, and they loved that I had never kissed a boy in my life because I was so young. So he was making fun of me and like doing kissing noises because they knew how nervous I was. Scott wasn't. Scott was like trying to like reassure me it's all okay. I was on like apple boxes because Scott is so tall.
Yep.
And then to make it even worse, embarrassing, my mom's taking photos behind a tree, which, my mom is there for my first kiss. To make it even more intimidating, they were filming Dick Tracy next door. So there was Madonna on the pet commercial. So comes over to say, it's still, I was still in awe of her because it's Madonna.
Sure.
And then Warren Beatty is there, and they're hanging out, and Mandy Patinkin, and they're all just watching us do the kiss, the kissing scene.
Wow. Honestly, no
awesome.
pressure, huh?
No pressure, no. And that was with Jason Priestley. He was in that episode too. And, so that was so much fun. And then they tried to bring me back for the next episode because they didn't have anyone they wanted to cast. So I went to Universal and sat there while they read a few girls. And then if they couldn't find someone they liked enough, they would have brought me right to wardrobe, and then I would have started the next day. But they ended up finding Amy Foster, who was one of my friends and a great actress, and she ended up getting to do the part. So that was cool. But yeah, working with Dom Belisario, I love him too.
Well,
great
it's
guy.
funny talking about good guys getting together and knowing each other. Scott, Rick, and Michael J. Fox were all on the celebrity hockey team together.
Oh my God, I didn't know that. I love Michael J. Fox.
They're the ones who formed it.
Really?
Yeah.
That makes sense. I didn't know Scott played, but I knew Michael played, and I know Rick plays. But yeah, Michael J. Fox, that was another one I worked with that I love. Oh, he was giving me massages on this set because I was so worried.
And that was for the commercial, right?
Yeah, we did a really cool commercial together for Lay's potato chips. I think he got paid like $5 million to do it.
Jeez.
I got paid like $400 probably or something. And
Yeah,
it didn't air. I mean, it aired. Well, what they did was they tested it with an audience to see. They did 2 commercials, and we shot for 3 days. And same thing with Madonna's commercial for Pepsi. And the same people hired me for the Lay's potato chips commercial because they felt bad about the Pepsi commercial not airing. So yeah, they ended up not really. They aired it by mistake a few times, but they decided not to air it because they didn't think it sold chips.
Yeah, but it's fun.
It's fun, but it had nothing to do with chips.
No.
It was about a woman's restroom. It didn't make any sense, but it was a really fun commercial.
Well, and it's one of those that if you see it on YouTube, people enjoy it. Wow, that's funny.
Yeah.
So, like...
And there's another one I did with... Oh, sorry.
No, you go ahead.
There's another one I did with Johnny Knoxville that... The same kind of thing. Like, I've done so many commercials that are awesome, and then they don't air. But then I have some that have aired, like, nonstop. Like, Taco Bell. I had the Taco Bell commercial that aired so much that everyone was sick of the commercial. It aired so much. But, yeah, I did one with Johnny Knoxville. It's on YouTube. It's a Prilla. It's a really fun commercial where I blow him up.
Okay.
He's my boyfriend in it, and he pisses me off, so he makes me fill the car up, and I pour gasoline all over the car, and I blow the car up.
I don't think I've seen that.
Oh, it's great. It's a great commercial.
Huh.
It's fun. I have like jet black hair in it, so I look very different, but it was a fun commercial to film.
Well, you know, it's funny too because I understand that feeling of I've had a couple projects that I've really worked hard on that never saw the light of day.
Oh, it's so frustrating. But the funny thing is the people that hired me for the casting directors that hired me for the Pepsi commercial and then felt bad and gave me the part in the Lay's commercial, they're the ones that hired me for this commercial. So it's like everything they cast me, it doesn't end up airing, but they're the best jobs ever. I mean, you can't get much better than that Pepsi commercial. That was fun. Dancing around with Madonna, that was amazing.
Is that on YouTube? I'll have to look it up.
I don't know. And that was to the Like a Prayer. We got to hear the song first, and here I was like 12, 13 years old, and dancing with Madonna, who was incredible, and the director of it was one of the best directors ever. That was amazing. And then I flew right off to do MacGyver right after that. Wow.
And that's a question I was going to ask you. Because I've had an experience of my own that went less favorably than you with getting a agent. What did you have to do to have that happen?
I happened to be with the guy that I'd come out to LA with from Texas, and he went to lunch with his manager, and I was with him, and so she's like, "Can I take you too?" And that was it.
That was it. You didn't have to audition or anything.
No, I got really lucky. I had a look that they liked at the time. I guess, and then she got me with 20th Century Artist, and it was like they took me, and they didn't think they wouldn't let me audition for the Fort Figueroa series. They said, "Well, you haven't done anything yet." Mm-hmm. And I begged them, and I went on the audition, and I booked it. I got the job. So after that, they're like, "Okay, let's send her out." So that's how I got, they ended up being the best agent ever. But yeah, I've been with like William Morris and like huge agents where you disappear because they don't have to work hard to get you auditions. They have to just pick up the phone to make their money.
Right.
So they don't care if they're sending you out because they have like huge people that they're going to make all their money off of. So I got lost like at the big agencies. That was the biggest mistake I had ever made. Mm-hmm. Was going with like William Morris and
Well,
CNA.
I had a guy who it was on like the 6th floor on the first floor was a bank. So, all right, he has me come up, and it's a quiet, desolate hallway. I don't know what rooms are being used. And I walk down, and the door is wide open. So I hear somebody on the phone, and I peek around the corner, and this guy, if you want to know warning signs with bells and whistles, this guy's sitting there at a desk. He's got on his desk mustard and ketchup. It looked like he hadn't vacuumed in a while.
Oh, no.
And you could just feel the slime.
Yeah, I've had those types of agents. Oh, yeah. You can. It's funny how you can pick up on the energy of the person.
Oh, God. Yeah. So
if you allow yourself to trust yourself.
Well, that's the thing, too. I I started to back away before he even knew I was there. And somebody comes out of one of the other offices and goes, "Hey, Bill, you got one." And I'm like, "Oh, no." I almost got away. So I had to go in there and smile and listen to his pitch. And I just went, "Okay, well, I'll let you know." And you could tell he wasn't about caring about talent. He just wanted to cash a check.
Yep. That's a sad thing, is like a lot of agents, like I've had agents pass, like Wishmaster, my agent passed on Wishmaster 3 and 4 without telling me because there wasn't enough money in it for him. And so that happens a lot. And the producers that have offered the part to the actor don't know that the actor I didn't even know I was offered the part until a year later.
Oh.
Yeah. So that happens all the time. But yeah, I was with an agent, a woman agent who was an actress at the time when I was doing MacGyver and Quantum Leap and stuff. I didn't know this, and she thought I ruined her career. She actually told me, "Oh, you took all my parts back then." And I should have trusted my gut because something didn't feel right, but I stayed with her. And she was passing on parts without telling me back then too. Like that. So she basically thought I was the reason why she didn't get the parts back then. Mm-hmm. I don't even remember her from back then. Like I remember being up against Kirsty Swanson and all the, Nicole Eggert and all those girls, Shannon Doherty. We would always go to the wire with them, but I never remembered this woman. So she was my agent for 2 years, and she ended up getting in trouble with the agency because she had done this to 2 other people. Literally, because she wanted to be an actress. She didn't want to be an agent. So she was jealous of these actors that were working. So she messed with our careers. Mm-hmm. And then I had an agent that ends up, I guess he was on drugs or something. So years later, he called me to tell me, I guess they have to call and make amends or something. And he called me to apologize and said, "Look, I wasn't even sending you out at the time." So it's hard. People think you come to LA and then if you're working, they just think you're automatically going to be sent out by your agent.
Sure.
They don't know that some of these agents aren't even doing their jobs. Some are. So I wish I had stayed with my original agents that got me MacGyver.
Oh, sure.
They were incredible. But I thought I wanted to be with the William Morris agent back then. So I made that big mistake. A lot of actors make that mistake. They think having a huge agent that's the important thing. They don't realize even a smaller agent's better because you want to be the big fish in the small sea or the pond, because they're going to work harder. They have to work to get you to make their overhead. So, but nowadays, sadly, it's all about being with the top 3 agents. They're the ones that are packaging everything. So it's all changed.
Really?
It's changed because I have friends that are stars. I have this one friend, I was talking with him yesterday. He's a huge celebrity. You would totally know who he is. Fantastic actor, great guy. And no one's even seeing him because everything is pre-cast. But SAG they have a rule where you have to audition. So they're still auditioning, but meanwhile it's cast already. And so basically they're just kind of following protocol by auditioning people.
But they're wasting their time.
Yeah, so the 3 main agents have already cast everything, and yeah, the business has changed so much.
Well, is that why? Well, not why, but is that a good thing then to be into voice acting?
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm so thankful for voice acting. I've been voice acting since I was 11.
Really?
Yeah, I started in Texas. I got lucky, and I done I was doing all the close time ads, all the Encore, Bravo, Wham, Kiss FM, McDonald's, AT&T. I had the campaigns, so I did all the 30 spots for close time and McDonald's back then.
Sure.
And Pac Bell. So I got really lucky. This is back when nobody else was really doing voiceover. Mm-hmm. And this is also back when voiceover actors did voiceover, TV actors did TV,
right.
and did cross. So I was with a really great agent and working all the time, but I would miss a lot of auditions and jobs because on camera was my priority.
Sure.
So they were going to drop me, but instead they ended up taking me. They got me with my agent that I'm with now. They did me, which is nice. Most agents when they drop you, I guess they drop you, but they're like, "Here, we like you. We're taking you to this other agency." And that was when I auditioned for Shrek and found out that I could copy voices, which is like one of the coolest jobs to have.
Oh, yeah.
And if you're an agent, that's the person you want. So they were like, do you want to come back? We'll take you back. And I'm like, no. You guys, the agent they put me with was the one that they gave me the chance. They didn't care that I was doing movies, and they liked it. They saw the potential in actors that could do both. So that's when I started working on Shrek. And, I've done I think at least 200 jobs for Shrek now. People don't realize that you've got Shrek the movie, and I would work on the pre-vocals for Cameron Diaz, and then sometimes I would do post for other movies of her. Well, I worked on Annie, The Other Woman, Sex Tape, like all those movies for Cameron Diaz, because she was so busy that she couldn't come back and loop for herself.
Sure.
But for Shrek, I was doing all the games, dolls, toys, like commercials, like say McDonald's had a Shrek toy. Mm-hmm. They wouldn't use her voice, they would use my voice. Mm-hmm. So that was the coolest job ever, also because I love Cameron Diaz. I just think she's the coolest person. I met her on the airplane. I was coming back from filming Touched by an Angel in Utah, and I ended up sitting right next to her.
Wow.
And she is the coolest person ever, and so getting to voice her was just such an honor.
Oh, sure.
So much fun. I mean, working on Shrek and with the DreamWorks people, another dream come true.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing too. Once you hitch your wagon to a franchise like that,
yeah,
they a couple years ago they did a Christmas special.
Yeah, and then at Halloween we did Shrek Fright Night. I was recording for a game, and they came in. They said, hey, because I sing, and they said, do you know of any singers? I said, yeah, because at the time I was doing backup for Bobby Kimball from Toto. Mm-hmm. And I said, what about the lead singer of Toto, Bobby Kimball, from sings Africa and Rosanna? They go, can you get him? I said, I think so. And I called him, and he's still in bed. It was like 9:30 in the morning. He's like, I'll be there in 20 minutes. And he was there in 20 minutes, and they gave him a part, and it was so much fun. And he sang, and they made him the Headless Horseman. So yeah, working on Shrek for 18 years was just the coolest. And working on Star Wars, I mean, that's another
yeah, there's another good wagon to hitch yourself to.
Yeah, it's funny because like when I was a kid, I would play, Star Wars with my brother and sister. I was obsessed with Three's Company and Suzanne Summers, and here, years later, I'm playing Suzanne Summers in Her Life Story, and I loved Cameron Diaz, and then years later, I get a voice her. So I've done a lot of things I'm so thankful for and excited about.
Oh yeah.
So I'll never complain.
Well, let me ask you this. Because this is what I've had to do it, and I don't know if this is universal. When you're reading your lines for voice acting, I think I was always told the rule is to do it 3 times. Do you have to do that?
Yeah. When you're doing the job?
Yeah, when you're, say your line is, I have to go across the street and buy a cup of coffee. They like to hear you put different reflections on that line.
Yeah, I mean, it's not really the rule that I've never ever noticed, but when I go in, like when I work on Shrek, they usually say just do it like 3 or 5 times. I'll ask for 10 times because you want to hit her voice. Sometimes you got to do the first line, do it once to hear yourself. Mm-hmm. Second line to kind of hear her, and then the third one you snap into it, and then you're in her voice. And then you want to do it again to do the different reflections. So yeah, for Shrek, I would do 5 to 10 times. Star Wars, they want 3 times.
Okay.
But I would always I always begged him for more. I mean, I would literally just beg him to do more. I'm a perfectionist.
I know.
If they're going to pay me any money to do anything, I want to give them what they're paying for.
And you want to be satisfied. I'm the same way. I'm like, no, I know you're okay with it, but I think I can nail this better.
I could do better. I mean, and that's the thing is, even when I'm leaving people voice messages, I'll send them free recording because I'm like, it could be better, more to the point. But yeah, no, like for Star Wars, like I would beg them, I could do it better, and so they were so cool, and they let me do it more, until I was happy. But you want to make them happy because you know what you can do. Maybe, you can do better. So, but they're usually really great about it, and sometimes they're like, no, you're good, you're done. Stop.
Which is
you're fine. We
I
got
guess
it.
I'd rather be on that side of it than the opposite. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'd rather. Yeah, exactly. I've worked with people that just don't care, and you're just like, come on, you're lucky enough to be doing this job. Make it the best it can be, and if they're paying you, even if they're not paying you, just the honor to work on this job. It's like you want to do the best job possible, I would think.
Well, you want to be memorable too. You want people to go, "Oh, you're Holly Fields. I know you from, the voice of whoever."
I never think of it that way. I just want it to be. I'm a perfectionist. I want them to be happy, and then I want to be happy too.
Do you do a lot of conventions?
I just started. I did one for Wishmaster 2 and the Wishmaster reunion, which was so much fun. So I got to work with, hang out again with Tammy Lauren for the first time actually, and Andrew Divoff, who I just love them so much. Both of these people are like my family now, and hopefully we're doing Wishmaster 5.
Nice.
So I'm excited about that. Yes, I did it was Monster Palooza, and we had a line around the corner for us, which is really, really fun. I didn't think anyone would show up to get my autograph. I was like thanking everyone that showed up. And then I just did the 80s one, which was really fun.
I think I saw you post something on that.
Yeah, that was fun. I did it at the last second, so I didn't have time to really be prepared with the headshots from the shows. Like I had I think MacGyver and Monsters Today, and I think Quantum Leap. No, I didn't bring Quantum Leap actually. I forgot that one.
Oh.
Alf. I think I had Alf and Charles in Charge. We had the Charles in Charge cast there.
That I saw that. That's the one I saw too.
Yeah, that was fun. I was seeing Scott Baio, and they're redoing Charles in Charge.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
Wait,
yeah.
are they continuing it or are they rebooting it?
I don't know.
Because a reboot is a bad idea for anything, really.
I think so too, but I do know that Scott Baio still looks fantastic.
Yeah, he doesn't age.
He doesn't age. And same thing with Ellen Travolta.
Travolta, yeah.
Thank you. She looks fantastic, and what an amazing person. Talking about nice people, wow, she's amazing.
I met a bunch of the cast coincidentally a couple years ago at one in New Jersey called Chiller, which is the one that Rick was just at.
I did that one, yeah. That was the first one I did. That was my very first one, yeah.
That must have been before I knew, because if I knew you were there, I would have gone.
I didn't even know what I was going to. This was back in 2015, I think.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, I just this is when I was first sick. I had no energy and didn't know why, and so I literally flew out there, went to the hotel room, fell asleep, signed autographs, fell asleep, signed autographs again, flew back, and then I put the pick line in. I think a week later was when I started that. So. And
it's a lot of. I mean, you could tell me from your point of view, but typically that's a wonderful experience to go to a convention.
Oh, it's incredible. Yeah, I've actually met a lot of friends that way, actors and fans. I'm really close with a few people that were fans of the shows I've done, and we've come up and talked, and we're still friends, like really good friends. Yeah, I sat next to Michael Pera, who's amazing, and I got to hang out with Marianne from Gilligan's Island.
Yep.
Who is still drop dead gorgeous.
Yeah, she doesn't age either.
She doesn't age. Like, what are these people doing? Like, yeah, they look so good. Yeah, so they're really fun to do.
Yeah,
they're
well,
really fun.
If you ever get a chance to do a Chiller again, please do, just on a greedy side for me, because it would be nice to actually see in person.
I would love to go back to Chiller. I'd like to do more of them. And the thing that sucks is, like, the shows that I passed on, like, I had Charmed. I had the Mister on Charmed. And then Shannon Doherty decided she was best friend on the show and she wouldn't do it without her. So I had to sit there and wait until she decided what part she wanted, and she had to read the script. So, and she had already auditioned and they passed on her.
Really?
Holly Marie Combs. Because we had been going to The Wire together for the show, and then I was supposed to test for it, and she wasn't going to test. It was just going to be me testing. And so all of a sudden she got the part because Shannon Doherty and she were best friends. So then they tested me for the youngest for Alyssa Milano's character, but they ended up hiring. Well, long story short, they hired someone under contract with Warner Brothers, and then recast it.
Oh.
And then they brought me in to test for it. No. God, it was so long ago. I went off and did Wishmaster, and they wanted to see scenes from Wishmaster, but they didn't have them ready yet, so because they were going to recast it, and so they were going to give me the part, but then they decided they had a name, which was Alyssa Milano. She was, I guess, in Hawaii, and so she had to read the script, and then we were going to start. It was another situation, but it was a Friday, and we'd start on Monday. And so I found out that I didn't have it again. Like 3 different times I was told I had it, and then I didn't have it.
Oh, that's got to be the worst.
Oh, that broke my heart, because that was the one show I had passed, like, on shows like General Hospital, X-Files. I've passed on, stupidly passed on things that I shouldn't have passed on, but this was the one that I didn't pass on that I was dying to do. So that was pretty devastating. But I got it. They wrote me a part on the show, which was really cool. And then they tried to give me 90210, which I then told them to bring in my best friend at the time because I thought she was better for the part, and she got it. So
now this is was this the new version of it?
No, the old one.
Oh, the original.
The original, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I think everyone that's worked a lot in this town, they all have their stories of what they passed on.
Oh, sure. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and their regrets. Like, yeah, I had this thing where every time I would join a show like Blossom and Evening Shade, recurring, it would get canceled like a week later. It happened. Like I had just gotten Blossom, and I was recurring as Joey's girlfriend. I had originally tested for 6 on the show, but it's a long story, but I couldn't do it. And then Jenna Vanoy, she had gotten this other show at the time, so she couldn't do them both. The other show got canceled, so she ended up getting to go back to Blossom. And she was perfect. I love that. I love her. So, so I got on the show, and then it got canceled that week.
Well, it's funny. It's like Ted McGinley always made the joke. Every time he was on Happy Days, he was on Love Boat, he was on Married with Children, and they canceled him.
Yeah. Well, he was on the. I was actually up for the daughter on Married with Children. I tested for it because they were either going to go slutty-ish or cheerleader-ish. I was the cheerleader-ish type choice, and the other choice was this other girl. I won't say the name, but it wasn't Christina Applegate originally. It was Hunter Carson was the original boy, and this other girl, and I guess Christina Applegate's other show got canceled, so they ended up getting to redo the pilot. So I was written onto the pilot as a favor from the producers because I had tested for it. And then when they redid it, I guess I don't know if my part was still in there or if they re-edited it, but then they gave me the spin-off, or they gave me the other show they wrote called Sunday Funnies with Jennifer Aniston. So it was me, Jennifer Aniston, and Christina Cavanaugh, and a few others, and it was kind of like Saturday Night Live where we'd all play different characters.
I remember that, actually.
It was great. It was shut out on the Sunday paper, and then it would come to life.
Yes.
So that show, we were sold for 13, and then Brandon Tartikoff left NBC, and then they dropped us. So that was devastating because it would have been a hit.
Yeah. Oh, sure.
So I worked with him on the pilot of Married with Children, and he was a great guy to work with.
Yeah. Wow.
And so was Ed O'Neill, another great guy to work with.
He's sweet.
He's so sweet. He would take my mom and I to chicken and waffles during the lunch breaks. We would just all go to chicken and waffles. He always paid, and really great guy. I mean, I've been so lucky to work with so many cool people.
I'm telling you, it's a heck of a story.
Yeah, like Paul Rudd, Julie Bowen, Jenny Lewis.
Paul Rudd's another guy, by the way, who does not age.
No, he doesn't age. And he's the nicest guy.
Yeah. Adrian Paul from Highlander. Yeah. Now, that show hasn't been on in many years, and you look at him, you're like, boy, you really are immortal.
Yeah.
You know?
I think it's like people that don't drink, they don't age as fast.
I think you're right. That's always what they say: if you drink and smoke and everything, it does age you.
Yeah, and stress.
Well, sure.
Stress will do it.
Now, you were the Wire. The Wire was the hangout place for you guys.
The Wire?
What was the hangout place that you went coming up?
Alfie Soda Pop Club?
That was it. That's what I'm thinking of.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we used to, as kids. Okay, so a lot of us were homeschooled.
Mm-hmm.
So I was homeschooled, so I didn't really have a normal high school situation where you got to go to parties and dances with your, So Alfie Soda Pop parties were kind of our version of the high school dances. And so, but our parents would come. Even at high school parties, your parents didn't come. So they were actually really innocent. It's not like what you keep hearing with Corey Feldman. It wasn't like that at all. My mom would never let me do anything close to that. But the parents would come. It would usually be at a hotel, and they would rent out the auditorium for the dance, and we would have Alfie Soda Pop. We'd have the Soda Pop. I forgot what it was called. Remember the Soda Pop back then, the flavored Soda Pop?
Sure.
So we'd have this, we'd seltzer water.
Yeah.
But yeah, so all the kid actors would come, and it would always be like Alyssa Milano and Nicole Eggert and Corey Haim, and all those people would come, and it was just so much fun. Everyone got along great and danced, and that was my childhood. Punky Brewster was one of my best friends back then, and great girl, and so it was so much fun, and that's why I think all the kid actors we know each other from back then, because we would go to those Alfie Soda Pop parties.
And it's not, and it's funny too, because like you said, if you're good people, you stick together.
Yeah.
Besides the career part of it, you're like, no, besides that, you're a good person, so you're welcome in my life.
Yeah, you want to hang out with people that are nice to you, so yeah, it kind of makes it different. Yeah, we all had fun.
That's cool. I remember you mentioning things like that in posts and stuff. I thought, I got to make sure I ask her what that was.
Yeah, and then years later, I ended up being engaged to Corey Haim, which was ironic.
Were you really?
Yeah.
Huh.
He was a really great guy. A really, really great guy. He'd been through, a lot.
Oh, sure.
And I know that's all coming out, but heart of gold.
Yeah.
Sweetest person. And
well, I remember seeing, what was the show? The Two Coreys?
Yeah.
And
I never watched.
Well, he, despite his problems, he always seemed like a sweet, sweet guy.
That's the thing is it was almost, it's frustrating because I know the whole story of it, and it wasn't ever really his fault of how it happened. He was just so trusting and good. Mm-hmm. And in this town, I'm the same way. I just got lucky because I had parents that were
supervising.
But his mom is also the same way. As just a really great human being and trusting. So they came out from Canada just trusting everybody, and then some stuff happened to him that shouldn't have happened, and that kind of set him on a domino of things. But it's sad. It really,
and that's the thing. When you think about how lucky we are, at any moment it could have gone off the tracks.
Yeah, I didn't even know that stuff was happening back then.
Right.
So to see all the stuff coming out with some of these actors that were, kid actors,
it breaks your heart.
It does. It totally. Yeah, and the fact that I didn't realize it was going on. Yep. I think because I was overly protected, which thank God I was. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. But also, imagine being a kid, and if you did find out that stuff.
Yeah, if I did find it out back then, I would have stopped acting.
Sure.
I wouldn't have done it, and it does. And also, being a kid actor, it's so stressful because you're having to, you're carrying this movie, and it's all this. A kid isn't supposed to have that kind of stress. Right.
Oh, and even just the roller coaster of auditioning.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And then getting from audition to audition, you have like 5 or more in one day, and that's stressful. You're driving across town and having to be on and having to be awake and do a great job, and you're reading for like famous producers. You don't want to blow it. especially being a kid and going into a room of like 30 men in suits for testing.
Mm-hmm.
I never thought, like, back then how, I mean, I enjoyed it, thankfully, but that was still stressful. Even though you enjoyed it, it was very intimidating.
Yeah, sure. Well, yeah. And, thank God you came out on top.
Yeah, well, I think my adrenals are kind of messed up from all the stress. I think the stress definitely got to me.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
I think it adds up,
Well, and that's the thing, too, because you can, at least if you're smart enough to recognize it, you can realize that you can take the time to deal with it. Acting and whatever else can wait. If you have your priorities straight, you go, okay, I'm overwhelmed, stop, and deal with that. So many people don't do that. They try and ignore it, or they feel like, I can't let anybody down, I have to keep going.
Or they have no choice but to keep going. Like, I was lucky enough to be able to take a break. After the OC, I took a break, and I was engaged for a while, not to Corey, but to another guy, and we traveled the world, and it was the first time I could ever actually leave LA without worrying about missing an audition or a part. I was so, as a kid, I never wanted to leave. I was so afraid of missing a part. That was my life. But yeah, when I realized how stressed I was because of it, I stopped it. I realized I needed to take a break.
Well,
and,
that's wonderful. Thank God.
Yeah, but I miss it, and it's hard to take a break and go back.
Because you think what, they'll forget you?
Yeah, they do. I mean, they don't really forget you, thankfully, especially with Facebook and stuff nowadays. But before Facebook and social media, they would. There's always somebody new coming, and a newcomer that that's gonna take over. And yeah, I remember Brooke Shields stopping to go back to college and saying how it was really hard to break back in when she came back.
I remember that actually too, because she was everywhere.
Yeah. So
and I'm thinking like Blue Lagoon and and then all of a sudden, you're right. I remember her doing interviews and saying, I'm going to college. And I thought, oh, good for you.
Yeah.
But you're saying when you try and come back now, you're starting at the bottom maybe?
No, I mean, it's not as easy you're not back at the same, what's the word?
Level?
Speed?
Momentum?
Momentum. Yeah, before, I would just go right to network. I wouldn't even go to producers, and I would just test for a show. And then when I came back, I took a break for a while back years ago. And when I came back, I had to start auditioning again. You had to go to the casting director and then producers. I couldn't just go right to network anymore. So that was interesting and kind of frustrating. I had proven myself. I had won awards for acting, and here I was having to kind of start all over again. So, but you come back pretty fast, and I got JAG pretty fast with Don Belisario.
Sure.
And then I got the OC, and yeah, but after the OC is when I took the break, and I was offered a bunch of stuff, but I kept saying no. I needed a break because I had been acting since I was a child without a break, and I never knew what it was like to not have that stress and that anxiety.
Yeah, right. And you'll burn out if you don't.
You do, and then you're always having to be on. Like, people come up to you on the street that will recognize you, and you always have to be nice. And
that's exactly what I say. I always say you have to be on in the moment.
Yeah.
And even if it's not hard work, it still uses a lot of energy.
Yeah, especially if you're having a bad day or something, you have to forget about that. Especially as a kid, say you're having a hard day. I was going to high school at the same time for a long time before I went on home studies. So I would go to school starting at 8 a.m. to 3:30, and then I would come home and audition or go to work. And that was hard. I mean, that was really stressful. So then I would go to work, and then I would come home and have to do homework. So I didn't have free time to play soccer and go out with friends. So that's why having the Alfie Soda Pop parties, thank God we had that type of thing. So I didn't really have a lot of friends because I was never really available for the after school games and the dances in high school.
Yeah. Wow. That is,
I mean, it sounds so great to some people. I mean, it was such a fun life.
But it's not all movie roles and roses, as they say.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think people realize the pressure that they don't see the pressure side of it. They don't see all the auditions you're going to get to where you are.
Mm-hmm.
They just see people, they see them in a movie, and they think,
Mm-hmm.
oh, that's so cool. They are so lucky to do a movie. They don't realize how many auditions you go through and all the stress of it and working so hard and not getting a lot of parts and the disappointment, and they don't realize there's all that side to it. They see the success you've had.
Exactly.
Yeah, and so they think, oh, they're so lucky, and they don't realize how much you had to work your butt off to get there.
Well, and that's, I don't know about you, but for me, that's what I appreciate of voice acting. I can just send previous work through an email as opposed to having to show up in person. You know, here's what I can do, or here's something I have done. I think I'd be right for this. And then you see what happens.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I've been doing voiceovers, forever, but I still audition most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
But I wish I could just send my demo. But thankfully, I've been under contract for 18 years with Cameron Diaz for Shrek. And
Oh, really?
Yeah, so no one else was allowed to do her voice. So that was like, they would call you up and say, hey, you have a job. So that was so nice. And
that is wonderful.
That was such a blessing. And then getting to do Nadia Gurel in Star Wars: The Old Republic, that's been, I thought that was going to be one day of work. I didn't know it was going to be, 9 years later, still working. Thank God.
Yeah.
Thank God. It's just been.
And also you're doing your an original character, so you don't have to copy Cameron Diaz's voice or whatever.
Yeah, because usually that's been my kind of niche, was for Drew Barrymore, for her, and like Leslie Mann and Brittany Murphy and Kate Bosworth. Like, I would always copy their voices, and I've done a lot of revoicing for people because they're too busy, and they like having an actress that's had a lot of work, that's done a lot of work, and they like having the resume behind a voiceover actor, because they know that, like for example, when I did Suzanne Summer's story, somebody looped for me during the crying scene, and you could totally tell because they weren't an actor, and it ruined the scene to me.
Yeah.
When I watched it, I noticed it. So I like to go in for other actors when I'm looking for them and make the scene just as good or better. Like, I want to make them proud. So that's why having someone that has an acting resume for on camera is always beneficial for voiceover.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, I forgot to tell you, talking about worlds colliding, you being on Quantum Leap, one of my first voice acting gigs was for a Quantum Leap audio series.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
Cool.
As we're talking, I'm like, why didn't I think of that sooner?
That's so cool.
Yeah, and it got me hooked because, like, like we're saying, it's quicker satisfaction for me. And, you don't have to wait as long to see what you did. And it's a lot easier to hear your voice as it is to look at your actions. And, do you ever go back and watch your previous work?
No. Oh, God, no. No, I am a hard critic on myself.
Me too.
I can't even listen to my voice when I leave voices for people on answer machines.
Yeah.
I won't even listen to this. I can't because I know I talk too fast and I ramble.
Nope, you don't. You're wonderful.
No, thank you.
But no, I know. Even though I love it, you're going to hear yourself and go, "Oh, shut up."
Why did I say? Yeah, exactly. Why did I say that? Why did I keep talking? And yeah, and then I get anxiety and I'll just keep rambling. And, yeah.
Well, I'm the same way because I'm a singer-songwriter, and if I hear one of my own songs, I'll change the channel.
Wow.
Like, to hear my own voice. Not that I have a problem with my own voice. It's I'm too familiar with the guts of it.
With the what's of it?
The guts. Like, I know I'm too intimate with the way I sang that line.
Oh, gotcha.
You know what I mean? Where it's not new for me. It's, okay, I had to do this song 100 times. I don't need to hear it right now. So I kind of,
Yeah.
I change it.
The dog's going to come with me. So she'll snort like right at the worst time. So, hi, baby.
You're lucky you're so darn cute.
She is so freaking cute, though.
Yeah.
And she has a heart condition, so she doesn't have that much longer to live, unfortunately. But she's had a
baby.
really great life.
Yep.
We go to the beach all the time, and because I'm 10 minutes from the beach here.
Yeah, I've always had a dog my whole life, and before my kids were born, we lost probably the best dog we've ever had, and I got a new one, and okay, that dog lasted 10 years, but we're taking a break now because, well, one, it's a responsibility to be home for the dog all the time, and also I can't take losing a dog over and over and over and over again.
Oh my God, I hear you on that. It's interesting because when she first got sick, I would take her with me everywhere because I didn't know I didn't know what was wrong, and she would start coughing, and so I wanted to have her with me in case I had to take her to the vet. And people kept coming up to me saying, oh, they would tell me their stories if they lost their dog and how depressed they were. And I'm thinking it was a little like, is God trying to tell me something? Because everyone keeps having their stories. So I ended up taking her to the vet, and we found out what was wrong, and now she's on 6 pills a day. Hard, but she's doing all right.
The dog that we had, Ginger, was a yellow lab, and this dog was so smart and so well behaved. And then one day, like you said, they get coughing or something doesn't feel right or there's a lump. And we took her to, she was having breathing problems. That's what it was. So we ran out to the vet at like midnight. So the doctor comes out, and you could tell that he doesn't care because he just walks out and goes, oh, yeah, dog's got cancer. And I'm like, hey, like, can you have some bedside manner, please? And then he goes, well, what can I tell you? I said, how long does she have? Now, we're already in tears. And he goes, 6 months. Well, she lasted much longer than that.
Good.
But it still kills you. I mean, it's, how do you... Yeah, so you know what I mean.
Oh, yeah, when I found out about her heart, I was told they gave her like a month to 8 months left, or 6 months, 8 to 6 months. And it's been over a year, so, but I have really great vets. Like I have a vet in LA, and then a cardiologist for her, and then I have the vet in Ohio too. They're just the best. They're all fantastic. But yeah,
are you gonna stay in Ohio?
I don't know. It's become so cool here. Like my neighbor is John Bernthal. He was on the Punisher and Walking Dead.
Oh yeah, I know him. Yeah.
Nicest guy. And then my other neighbor is he runs Paramount, and he lives in Ohio.
Okay.
And he just moved here because everyone's wanting to move out of LA now. Like people are moving to Texas. To the places to move, I guess, are Texas, North Carolina, South Carolina, Louisiana, New Mexico, and Georgia.
Okay, yeah, Georgia. Yeah, that's a popular place.
Yeah, and if you want to still act, like my friends that are all like majorly working actors, they're all moving out because you work more if you're living in the town where they're filming the show because they have to hire people.
Well, The Walking Dead is infamous for that because they tell you you have to move here.
Really?
Oh, sure. They don't tell you, but they, say, we're not going to kill you anytime soon, so it might behoove you to live here. As a matter of fact, the town that they film in, I don't know if you watch it, but they're in an actual neighborhood.
Really?
And so, yeah, they rent out those houses. They use them. But the people that are right on the other side of the camera can sit out on their front porch and watch them film.
Oh my God.
Yeah. But that's in Georgia, I think. I think it's that or North Carolina, somewhere there.
Yeah, I know they were in Texas originally because that's what he was telling me.
You were saying Peter Billingsley.
Yeah.
The actor?
Yeah.
I love him.
He's great.
And he's got the most amazing blue eyes.
Oh, he does. I know.
I can spot him in a crowd of hundreds. Even if he's not the star or whatever, I'm like, oh, that's Peter Billingsley right there.
Yeah.
How can you tell? Brilliant. Well, the glow from his blue eyes.
Yeah, and he's gorgeous now.
Yeah, he's in Spider-Man.
Yeah, he's Vince Vaughn's partner. He's directing movies and producing, and he's doing fantastic.
Yeah. He always seemed like besides being a good actor, he always seemed like a good man.
Oh, he's wonderful. Yeah, we dated in 2015 and 14, I think, as well. But he is a really fantastic person.
Yeah. Yeah. See what I'm talking about? Good people stick together.
Yeah. Try.
Right. Try. Before we go, I wanted to also touch upon, since we're both singers, what kind of music do you like?
Well, I grew up listening to Broadway.
Okay.
Annie used to be my...
Yep, me too.
Obsession as a kid.
I used to be in first, second grade, standing in front of the class singing "The Sun Will Come Out Tomorrow."
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, and I had a friend who would be like, guess what? I think he wants to go up and sing. And I'm like, no, I don't. Yes, you do. He was smart because he knew if I was singing, we wouldn't be having class.
Yeah. Anyway, so that was my favorite thing as a kid was Annie, and then I got to do Annie on Broadway as a kid, not as Annie, as two of the orphans.
Sure.
And then I love anything 80s. I love Chicago. One of my friends is in the band. A few of my friends are in the band Chicago. I'm spending Thanksgiving with them actually, and I just love them. I love anything with harmony. I just love anyone that's a real singer. Mm-hmm. It's like Richard Marx. Like that's real amazing singers. No one that has to be changed in the studio to make them sound good.
Exactly. Well, I always say it's the I'm a sucker for acoustic in particular and harmony, where our band is called Harmony Constant. So that does it. And it's the sincerity. The thing that links all the people that I like is the sincerity in their performance. Nobody's phoning it in, or like you said, has to be messed with in the studio. You're getting their guts every time. Yeah.
That's why I love going to see my friend Bill and Robbie Krieger, because they get these singers up on stage and they're so incredible, and every musician that's up there, from the drummer to the tambourine player to everybody, the guitar player, they're all the real deal. Mm-hmm. And they're so good, and it's just such a gift to see them play.
Right? And it moves you too. If you get someone who's powerful and sincere, you can feel it right through your whole body, right into your soul.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite
singer?
Yeah, like do you have someone that you aspire to, or say, like your number one?
No. I just 80s is usually my go-to. Mm-hmm. How about you?
Oh God, yeah. I mean, Mike Nesmith in particular is. When I met my wife, Mike Nesmith is from the Monkees, but he's the guy who created MTV. He started the genre of country rock.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And he can sing anything, and he's one of those humble guys who downplays his ability. So when I met my wife, she was also a fan, so we named our band after one of his songs. Because cool. I'm singing lead and she sings harmonies, so we thought, there you go.
That's so cool.
And, Harry Chapin. I adore Harry Chapin.
Yeah.
John Denver,
I loved him.
Right? I mean, because there's that emotion and sincerity in every song.
Yeah.
And David Gray. Love David Gray.
Yeah. I don't know David. What does he sing?
Oh, I'm going to send you stuff. He his first hit was around his biggest hit, or should I say the start of it, was around 2000 called Babylon.
Oh yeah.
Yes, and that's
Yeah,
hitting its
okay.
20th anniversary this upcoming
Wow.
year.
Oh,
So
sounds like-
he's a consistent person who is always putting out quality music.
Yeah, I got you.
And
Yeah.
Ray LaMontagne,
Yeah.
you know who he is?
I've heard of him, but what does he sing?
You'll remember when I send you stuff, you're gonna go,
Okay.
oh yeah, this guy. Trouble, that was one of his first hits.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I know who that is.
Yeah, he's got that not raspy but smoky voice, I guess is the way
Yeah.
to best describe it. We saw him
Yeah.
and David Gray live, and talk about the electricity flowing through you.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I got you. Yeah. No, I love Robbie Neville, but he kind of disappeared, unfortunately.
Who was it?
But Robbie Neville. He sang "C'est La Vie."
Oh, sure.
I've worked with him, and he can do vocal gymnastics that you're like, how did you do that?
Mm-hmm.
He's incredible. Yeah. I love like from the band Chicago. I love Bill Champlin.
Mm-hmm.
My friend's married to him, and he is incredible. And then God, there's he sings also with another guy. He just sang with him, Michael McKnight. Is that right?
Night.
Am I getting that right?
I trust you. It doesn't ring a bell for me, but that's probably my fault.
Anyway, God, I think I'm getting it wrong. Hold on. I can look it up now. This is gonna drive me crazy if I don't. Michael McDonald.
I was going to say Michael McDonald, but I didn't want to because I thought, he's the one, he's got that classic, he's got, it can go really high.
Yeah, he's incredible. And I was supposed to go see them play, and I couldn't make it the other night, so I'm really bummed. But
I think you'll get another chance.
I hope so.
Yeah,
I hope so.
Michael McDonald's fantastic.
Ellis Hall, another great one.
Mm-hmm.
That a Stevie Wonder. Oh my God.
Oh,
Stevie
sure.
Wonder, one of my all-time favorites.
Yeah.
I went to his concert, and the woman behind me was singing all of his songs like louder than he was singing.
Oh.
So I didn't even get to hear him. Oh, and I love the Eagles. I love
Sure.
the Eagles. I didn't know who the Eagles were, and I was backstage in Vegas, and I met one of the guys from the Eagles, and he's telling me that he's in a band, the Eagles, and I was like 24. I didn't know who they were. And after he walked off, I'm like, isn't he a little old to be starting a band? And my friends, because I grew up listening to musicals, I didn't know
Sure.
anything. And everyone was laughing, and I didn't know who the Eagles were. And years later, of course, I know who they are now. But
And now they're
they're
probably still
incredible.
teasing you about it.
Oh yeah, and then I saw them live, and wow, like they sing better live than it sounds. I'd rather hear them live than most musicians. You'd rather hear them all done up with
Sure.
all the
Sure. Well, that's the difference. If someone could sound just as good live, like I have a couple live albums of, like I was saying, Harry Chapin, because he passed away in '81, but his live stuff was as good, if not better, than his studio stuff
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it's raw.
Yeah. And it's yeah. Like Richard Marx was that way. He my dog. He's
I know, so adorable.
so sweet. Yeah, Richard Marx was, when I saw him in concert, just as good as his album.
Hmm.
Better in person, I think.
He's a guy who I'm so glad he didn't go away,
I am too. I love him.
right? Because he's like a triple threat,
Yeah.
right?
And Kenny
Like,
Loggins.
huh?
Kenny Loggins, that's my other
Oh,
favorite.
sure. There's another great one.
Yep. I just saw him. He my friends that are the musicians, they were singing in a concert with him, and oh my God, getting to see him was like a dream come true. God loved him.
Yeah,
Same thing, just as good as in person as on the radio.
and that's the thing too, because a lot of these guys you love, but if you don't see them for a while, you're like, why? Why am I not hearing them?
Yeah.
Tal Bachman Bachman.
No.
He had a hit back in the late '80s, I'd say, couple of them, and then he went away, and he was on social media, and he was like, "Nobody will just give me a record contract. I have to kind of make them myself."
Wow.
Yeah.
That's what happens. That same thing with actors. They disappear, and you're like, what happened? Maybe they didn't play ball. You just don't know.
Yeah,
what happened.
that's true.
You don't know what they got sick or whatever, disappeared, and then I think it's like John Travolta. Nobody wanted to touch him until my dog snores. Nobody wanted to touch John Travolta, and then all of a sudden,
Pulp Fiction.
Pulp Fiction came, and then bam, he's back bigger than ever.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're always afraid to take the risk, hire that, like Drew Barrymore. Her career was gone.
Mm-hmm.
People forget. And same thing with Tom Hanks for a while after Bosom Buddies.
Oh yeah.
The one person put him in something, and then bam, they're back. It just takes one.
Well, and it's something too, because I was just talking about Bosom Buddies, and I loved Bosom Buddies, but nobody remembers it only lasted 2 seasons, because the season that everybody remembers was the first season where they were dressing like ladies, and then they let the cat out of the bag at the end of the season finale. So then they couldn't go back to it. So the second season, they made it a completely different show.
I don't remember it that well,
Yeah, that was basically what happened. I met Peter Scolari back in April at a Chiller Con, and we were talking about that. He goes, yeah, they kind of dropped the ball on that. They made it a different show for the second season, so it wasn't recognizable anymore.
Yeah, and then all the people that were fans of it for a certain reason, it's not the same show that they fell in love with.
And now you think of Tom Hanks, and he's in everything.
Yeah, he's Mr. Rogers now.
Right?
It's crazy. Yeah.
Okay. We can go on talking forever, I know, and I'm enjoying this immensely. But for the sake of the people that are listening, let's put a pin in this for now.
Okay.
Because again, I knew we would be, because for years we've talked through social media, and I was dying to do this, and sure enough, we go off on tangents, and
it's fun. I like that you remember the same things I remember.
Oh, absolutely. Well, that's why whenever you would post something on social media, I always want to chime in.
I love it.
And I have to hold myself back, because I knew we would go off on a tangent, but it's a lot easier to talk and go off on a tangent as opposed to texting. You know what I mean?
You can always go off on a tangent with me.
Absolutely.
I like it.
Good. Well, I'll have you on down the road, and we'll go off on another tangent.
That sounds great.
All right. Well, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Of course. I look forward to our next chat.
Me too.
All right. I'll talk to you later.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye. The MacGyver podcast is part of the Forever Adventure Network. Some original artwork by Joseph Arnold. Donations can be made at Patreon to Mac Jackson. Look for our group pages on Facebook and follow us on Twitter at MacGyver Podcast. Please subscribe, rate, and review. And remember, stay creative, everyone.
Do you love action and adventure? Then you have to try the Forever Adventure Network. It has everything, from podcasts to audio series to music. It's got blogs, fan groups, comic strips, and 3 different stores for your pop culture and adventure needs. Join us today. We'll be proud to have you as part of the adventure. The Forever Adventure Network. Welcome to the adventure.